you guys. It's Rachel here with Senza Tempo Cane Corso. I'm out here with the dogs. Kashmir, shh, quit being dramatic. Preacher's over here beating up on Midnight. So she's over here being super submissive. Preacher, heel. Oh, there she is. So I've been up since, before 6 a.m. Been watching the sun come up. Had a lot on my mind. It's been some recent developments in the area of Tennessee. So I don't know if a lot of you remember, but when I first started talking about what was up with Tennessee, what was up with the deal with her as far as her breeder and whatnot, I I mentioned that I didn't feel comfortable purchasing her because of some things that the breeder had said, some accusations that she had made. And I'll tell you, she flat out tried to say that the fact that that Tennessee would submissive pee, that she thought that I was abusing Tennessee. And I just thought it was ridiculous, especially considering the fact that the other two puppies that she sold, one of them in Florida, the other one in her own state, the other two were doing it too. And she asked me to do a video on it, on submissive urination. And I did that video. That's not the most recent video I did, but it's the one before that. It's how to fix it. And because we had fixed it with Tennessee. So for her to accuse me of being abusive on those grounds was just really disheartening. Now, originally, when we were going through this, she didn't tell me why she thought I was abusive. It was only after the fact, through talking, that I was finally able to get her to admit to what it was that she thought was about me was abusive. And so then I asked her, I said, well, what about all the people in that commented on that video with that problem? I said, are you saying that they're all abusive to their dogs? And I said, and what about the people who bought dogs from you? Those other two people. I said, are those people also abusive? She didn't comment on that. So after that, her husband started posting some memes, some very, like one of them was from Tombstone, where he's going after the cowboys, and he's the red bandits or whatever they are. And he says, so whatever he said, I can't remember the quote, from, who was that? Wyatt Earp. He said, I'm coming and hell's coming with me. He did that one, and some other one. I can't remember what it was. And it just became very obvious that this wasn't just going to go away. On top of that, the day that I posted that video, a very well-known breeder in the community that is a well-known alcoholic, she's a very toxic person, contacted me out of the blue and then started trashing on my dogs. And she's a big, show breeder type person. Like, we had disagreements that I would have with any show breeder. A lot of people don't like my tail set, but I don't care. My dogs are very fast. And so while I do think that I'm willing to look into it to see whether or not the dogs would better athletically from having a higher tail set, I know that sight hounds have a lower tail set, and I know that's where these dogs get that. I know that's why they have the double suspension gallop. So I'm never going to make a change to my dogs that is because of of something aesthetic that they want to see that doesn't benefit the dogs. But I'm open to hearing about it. But she tried to make like wild accusations about my dogs. So I tried to tell her my opinion on it, and because she's such a dominating person, she started cackling over me. And I don't mean like a laugh, like ha ha ha. I mean like cackling like a witch, to the point that it was so obnoxious I just hung up. And I blocked her and I moved on with my day, because the truth is I don't have time for drama like that. You need to understand that the breeding community is full of some really crappy people. There are some good ones in there, but there is a lot of really crappy, weird people. You know, pretty sure this lady doesn't work. If I'm not mistaken, she's a very lonely woman, very miserable, who just sits around drinking all day and has a bunch of Corsos and breeds them and makes money off of them. So it's not that I'm in any way. Hey, psh, get out of that! Don't you drink up my driveway, Blondie. No. Cashmere, get out of it now. Psh. I'm gonna have to put my shoes on. So anyway, it's not that I'm not used to this kind of stuff. I am, right? It happened before all this drama, but I do find it a coincidence that this woman, who actually knew me already, and she admitted that after she asked me my name. She didn't know my kennel name, but after she asked me my real name, then she knew who I was. And so anyway, so I blocked her. And then she started trolling my YouTube account with her kennel name, mind you, which to me only says that she's trying to fish for views. What'd I say? Get out of it now. And so the thing about it is I don't think it's a coincidence that this woman started contacting me right after I've got this drama with this other breeder about Tennessee, especially because they live within 30 minutes of one another. They're very close. And if it's one thing I've seen in the dog community, is really any breeding community, because I used to breed fish, is that if there's some kind of drama, people will use it as an opportunity to kind of reach out to you and act like they're helping you. And in reality, they're really not trying to help you at all. They just want to be in your drama. They want to know what's going on. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have got no time for that. I literally, I just don't. I don't like it. I've always avoided drama. That's why I have a bunch of dogs and I'm not out in one of the biggest party towns in the nation of, which is Austin. It's a college town. I mean, everyone's partying. You can drink all the time. You can party all the time. I don't live that life for a reason. I live here in the mecca of it. If I wanted to do it, I would. If I wanted to be around people, I would. I don't. I don't. I have a small circle of friends. And I like it like that. And so I don't like drama. I see it for what it is when people reach out like that. And it really boils my blood. I can't stand it. I don't like the fakeness that can be in that community. And so then the same day that I get these trolling comments, get over here, midnight, come. The same day that I get these trolling comments on my channel, the other breeder, the breeder of Tennessee, contacts me asking for my address. She wants to know my new address and where I live to update our contract, which to me says, that's like unheard of. In all my years, I've never, ever, 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 ever had anyone do that. A phone number and email is usually enough, right? Unless you think that you're going to need to enforce that contract, you don't need someone's address, all right? The only way you'd need their address is if you wanted to sue them, if you wanted to serve them. And I thought it was a coincidence that it was the same day that I posted a video of Tennessee in the house, in the kennel with Seneca, because I was doing a video. And as I've often said, if I can't have my eyes on them, I put them in the kennel because I don't want to be worried about them getting into something. Oh, sugar, would you get a thorn in you? Hold on, I'm gonna restart this in a minute. Okay, sorry. I had to get a thorn out of Midnight's foot. I've got a bunch of stuff to clean up the cactus today. We're gonna be putting in a lot of work today. God, it's beautiful. So anyway, so I've got her in the kennel with Seneca because, like I said, I cannot be watching the puppies and doing the video, looking at the viewfinder and watching them. And they're notorious for getting into trouble, especially together. So that's what I do. It's not It's not an example of how they are most of the time. Come on, back over here. Kashmir, back over here. Oh, preacher, really, dude? Yeah, there we go. So, quit. Calm down. Hey, Midnight, what did I say? Midnight, what did I say? Yeah, that level of excitement isn't a good thing. It can be dangerous. So, anyway, Midnight, shh, y'all, quit it. This is how they get cactus in them. They're not listening. Come on, back over here now. Back over here. So anyway, you know, whether or not she can prove, like whether or not she would win in court isn't the issue, right? Because she's going to file all this stuff in North Carolina. She's not going to file it here in Austin. And if I don't show up there, then they're going to rule against me. So either I, you know, keep fighting this woman constantly over this dog and embroil myself in a bunch of drama, or I just give the dog back. And whenever so I've got a breeder friend of mine that I've talked to quite extensively about this whole situation, and she's been trying to help me kind of mediate myself around it. And she had mentioned getting a blood test done on Tennesse, just because, you know, it's Tennesse. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, like, Tennesse reminds me of a bulldog, like an Old English bulldog. In fact, I've got a breeder friend of mine that I'm buying an Old English bulldog from, and I'm going to ask her opinion on it. And I was going to do a blood test because I figured, well, it would be a way for me to relieve myself of their clenches, which is how it feels. And also not be able to have a complete loss financially. And so I told the breeder that I was going to be having a blood test done on Tennesse because I think that, you know, she's probably got some bulldog in there. And pretty recently in the line, if I'm not mistaken. That's what it looks like to me. I could be wrong. There are dogs in her pedigree from Italy that look like that. This one dog in particular, Trimmer, looks like that. Looks exactly like that. I'm not blaming any of the American breeders. You know, for all I know, it could have been the Italians that did it, and it's just popping up real heavily in these lines. But I had my suspicions early on, and I was willing to let it go. I've talked about the difference between American and Italian lines before, and how I believe that they have different stuff in them. So it's not a secret. But at this point, I should have given her back. That's the truth of it. When it went down, I should have just given her back, and I didn't, because I wanted to hold on to her because I was emotionally attached, and I let my emotions guide my decision instead of using my logic. And if I would have used my logic, I would have known. I know this breeder. I know her. You know what I'm saying? I've seen what happens when she has issues with other people, and you don't want to be on her bad side. She's one of those really toxic people that won't let it go. You know, she doesn't work. She's a stay-at-home mom, and she's got nothing but time. You know, nothing but time on her hands. And you never want to fight with somebody who's got nothing but time on their hands when you're trying to get stuff done, when you're trying to work. And you guys know that about me, right? Like, I work a full-time job. I've got these dogs. I've got this YouTube channel. And anyone who knows me that's called me, I hardly ever turn anyone down for a phone call. I mean, I talk to people all the time, to the point now where, like, it's literally getting to where I'm going to have to start managing it, because I have to tell people sometimes, like, look, I cannot just keep answering your questions. Like, some people will literally, they'll just keep asking me questions all day long. Like, I'm not joking. Like, they don't have, you know, for whatever reason, there isn't that inner thing that says, okay, you know, like, I probably should, you know, back off a little bit or something. And so it's to the point where I'm thinking of setting up a system on Patreon, because I do have Patreon people who have been donating, and I figure I really want to be able to offer something back. I know that the videos are awesome, and I know that they've helped a lot of people, but I would really like to be able to, back over here, to be more of a service to people on an individual basis. And I do have people that contact me all the time, and I do try to give answers when I can and talk to people when I can. And so, you know, I would like to set up some type of system for that where we can manage it better. And then I could help people like in situations like this, people that need advice or that are dealing with a breeder or something like that, come on, Tennessee, back over here. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. So, anyway, so like I said, I've had some, truth be told, it's been on my mind. It's one of those things that I knew was going to go bad. It's kind of like it never really went quiet, like immediately the memes started and the this and that. And it just became very apparent it was never going to go away. And I'm sorry, you guys, but I am always running at such full capacity as far as my workload and mentally that I can't have stuff like that in my life because it messes with too much other stuff. You know what I mean? I have a heavy workload, and anything that gets in the way like that or causes me a bunch of emotional stress and like mental stress, it is I cannot do it. I just don't have the time for it. Not if I want to do what I want to do. Not if I want to be successful and live the kind of life that I want to live with my dogs. I just can't have that kind of stuff because it distracts me. I'm a very caring and emotional person. And when things like this happen, I have a very high adrenaline reaction to it. When I got that message from her, my heart was pounding and I was like, this is not over. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to let it go. And if they're not going to let it go, then I will. You know what I mean? Then I will, because it isn't worth it to me. Back over here. Now, come. Being right or winning isn't worth it to me. That's something I've had to learn as a person that has a very I said now, let's go. Hustle. Get your butts over here now. Move it. Let me make sure I've got them all. Seneca, now, come. Get your butt back over here now. Let's go. Good girl. Good girl. Come on. Velocity, bring it back. Good girl. Good girl. There we go. So anyway, yeah, I just don't do drama. I don't like it. I don't have time for it. I'm not going to participate in it. So as much as I love Tennessee and as much as I would love her to be here, ultimately, I just can't do the drama. You know what I mean? And if anybody thinks, oh, well, they were willing to give you Tennessee. No, they were not. They were not. No, they were not. They did it because they felt like they had no other choice. Public pressure. And I tell you what, when I paid her the $1,500 and told her I would pay her the rest when she got me the papers, she complained about it. So that's an example. But anyway, it's just the way it is. And so like I said, it isn't an issue of whether or not I can afford her or what we can do to keep her. Like, there are times in your life where you may have to deal with this. Maybe you already have, where there's a person involved in a situation that is so toxic that you can either walk away or you can involve yourself in it and stay and be miserable. because it's there are people that are like that, where they it's kind of like a puppet, you know what I mean, where they want you there under your thumb or under their thumb, and they just want to mess with you. They just want to pull your strings every now and again just because they can. And the only way they can do that is if you allow them by playing their game. And like I said, I've learned, like I'm a fighter by nature. You know what I mean? When given the opportunity, I would rather fight than give up. It is very difficult for me to give in. You know what I mean? I was one of those people when I was younger that would sit there and fight and fight and fight, would never lose, would refuse to lose an argument because I just wouldn't, it was a bad part of my personality. And it took many years for me to learn that winning wasn't important, that being tactful and being useful with your time and recognizing that everyone doesn't have to believe like you do. Everyone doesn't have to have the same opinion you do. Like, maturity, man, it's huge. And so because of that, I know that what I'm doing is the right thing. It hurts, but sometimes doing the right thing hurts. Sometimes doing the right thing feels like you're doing the wrong thing. But ultimately, there's nothing else that can be done because of the personalities involved. And I just don't want to be, I don't want to be subject to that. I'll be honest, I gave her a fake address. I'm not giving that woman my address. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to say it, but would you give the devil your address? No, I certainly wouldn't. So, and as far as I'm concerned, that's just how I see it. With, a lot of people know the details, not everybody. I'm not going to go into it too much, but I did a lot for that family. And on top of everything, they even tried to like be petty and like give stuff back and like just really high school type stuff. And it just was an example of the personalities involved and how this never could have worked out, and I can move on from this and be better mentally and have more time for my dogs and all of that if I just give her back and I take myself off of the carousel of craziness. And that's what I'm doing. I'm removing myself from the drama and the crazy because that's the kind of person I am. I'm not going to participate in it. Not even for a dog that I love. I'm just not going to do it. And so if questioning her genetics is a way for me to get out of that, then it'll work. And let me tell you something. I already know that's exactly what they wanted to do as far as take her. Like I said about the address and wanting to enforce the contract, because the minute that I said that, she said, okay, she's like, well, if you think she's not going to work out for your program, then, you can just bring her back. And she said the money is already in the account. So they never even touched the money. They had every intention of trying to take her back. Every intention of trying to get her back. So that right there tells me enough, And she made it very clear. It's not a coincidence that she tells me that the money hasn't been touched and is still in the PayPal account. So, it's just one of those things, man. We're all just going to have to move on from Tennessee because of some really petty, crappy people. And that's just part of it, It's just part of the community. And as long as people continue to support crappy breeders like that, then the world will still be full of them. And let me tell you something. You will never hear me say anything negative about another breeder by name unless you ask about that breeder by name and I know something specifically about that breeder. There are only 2 breeders that I've ever said anything negative about. And actually one of the breeders, I've told it to his face. Well, not to his face, but online. He knows who I am. He knows I don't like his dogs. He knows that I think that he's breeding unhealthy dogs. He knows that I think he's promoting a bully type kind of Corso. Like he's basically bringing the bully world, the bully people, all of it into the Corso world, and I've told him that flat out. So it's not a mystery. And the other person flat out owned up to the fact that she's created or bred some very sick dogs, and at this time, I personally wouldn't suggest that anybody buy from that person. Just because there hasn't been, I just wouldn't. So, and that one person owned up to it. So it's not like it's not like a rumor. It's not like anybody made it up. So those are the only two people. I don't go around talking crap. You know how many people contact me and ask me about how I feel about breeders that I've bought my dogs from, and you must understand that there is competitiveness, right? We are competitors. We're all selling these dogs. It's a weird thing because we're competitors and we're working together, right? Because we're working together for the betterment of the breed, right? We need each other, and yet we're all competitors. So it's a weird deal. But anyway, so I'm trying to get back onto my train of thought. I was just sitting here thinking about how strange that is. How competitive we all are, but yet everyone's always trying to make partnerships and stuff like that. And it's just like, then you always hear about those partnerships breaking down. It's just like, God, it's such a bunch of drama. I don't know. Sometimes I think about it and I wonder, like, would it be better if it wasn't, like, what aspect of dog breeding is so filled with like competitiveness? You know what I mean? I feel like before it really wasn't. Like, maybe it was a little bit of competitiveness, but I don't know. Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. That could entirely be true. So I'm over here. It's too early in the morning and I'm over here speculating. This is all the cactus we're going to be cleaning up, by the way. I got a big trash can, some gloves, and a bunch of tools and stuff to do it. So, so anyway, but I just wanted to update everybody on what's going on here and what's going on with this. And just like I said, word of caution, keep in mind, you wouldn't go to Ford and say, hey, Ford, what do you think about Chevy? What do you think about that Silverado? I was thinking about getting a Silverado instead of a F-150. Well, the Ford people are going to try to talk you out of a Chevy, right? So don't go to a breeder and say, hey, what do you think about this other breeder? Like, if you're lucky, the breeder will be honest and put away their competitiveness and say, all right, well, as far as I know, this person's got, I haven't heard anything or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But don't expect that. Expect them to absolutely shred that breeder's dogs. Expect them to make up lies, bold-faced lies, and be petty and all of it. Expect that. Okay? Expect that. Because that's what 90% of them are going to do. And that's just the truth. It just is. It's just the truth. I've never watched that movie. I was thinking about this when I was getting ready yesterday, about that movie, the dog show movie. I never watched it, but it makes me want to watch it now, because I'm not saying it's all dog show people. I think it's just breeders in general, especially breeders of dogs that are not for just working purposes. You know what I mean? Like they actually are dogs that that people are are breeding for, like, purebred status and things like that, of competing and whatnot in the community. So I wonder if it's the same. But anyway, I'm gonna get inside. It's early morning. These dogs have been out for so long, and we need to get to work before it starts to warm up some today and start clearing out this cactus and stuff. So I'll talk at you later. All right, bye.